Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
The Overcomers Podcast is designed to help you overcome adversity and live your dreams. Every week we will be sharing stories of people who found their strength in their struggle. The Overcomers Podcast is sponsored by Journey 333, and that's a lot of threes, so let me tell you what it is. It's fitness, coaching, and nutrition. It is a place where we help you to look better, live better, and feel better, and it is mind, body, spirit. Today, we're going to help you get your mind right with our special guest.
Hello, Overcomers Podcast. I am Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we're the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
Today, boy, do we have some exciting guests for you. You know, we talk about overcoming all the time. We talk about overcoming obstacles. I have the newly married Mr. and Mrs. Passamonte on here. In fact, I could say correct Passamonte, because Lindsey is such a baller, she's got to keep both names right, but no, and that's the way Anthony sees her too. These guys have been with the Spartan organization for quite a while now. They are strategic performance coaches. They are some of the original SGX coaches. Today, they're going to talk to us about all the resources that you have to prepare for these OCR events, and also the important nutrition that you're going to use when you're out there on the course, so then that way you can have the best performance. We're super excited to have them on the show today because they are going to give you a lot of useful tools and tips. And guys, welcome to the show.
Yay.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for being here. We're so excited. In fact, we have several key team members that are training for the death race right now. So that's pretty intense. And we have hundreds of Journey members that are getting ready to do the Palmerton Spartans. So there could not be a better time to have you on the show to talk to them about what they need to do to overcome these obstacles. So in fact, before we get started and all the logistics of that, let's talk a little bit about the history of both of you. I know you have a combined 30 years of coaching experience. Let's talk a little bit about your history and how you got involved with Spartan and just, who you are and, all your nutritional credentials and whatnot, so.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, me being the older one, more mature, I think, a little bit more. But I mean, for Lindsey and I mean, we've been in this again for such a long time. I mean, I've been coaching professionally since 2006, and we can start doing some math on ages and everything, but really got into the Spartan world when they first started in 2010. And if anyone was back then, it was a different world, literally, 10 years ago or so, when everybody was looking to get ripped off the couches. Like, obesity crisis is still there. People weren't living healthy. And really, Joe DeSena found a way to kind of blend this whole boot camp style and the boring 5Ks that everyone's doing, and wanted to challenge people to just do a little bit more, and created Spartan Race and really created a movement that allowed people to just feel more challenged with who they were, to kind of, get over these literally obstacles over their life. And it changed people, and it changed people beyond just fitness. And we all go through journeys. And what I think really resonated with people and how you saw this sport just grow so fast, and it really kind of like caused people just have this transformation happen. And it kind of changed the way we all train now. And it's kind of how Lindsey and I found each other too, where we wanted to do a little bit more. We wanted to challenge ourselves, not only for our clients, but for ourselves, both on this physical, mental, and emotional side. And when we found Spartan, just everything that they were talking about resonated with grit and with adversity, and really tried to find out, how do you find this growth mindset? I mean, these are all the things we talk about with Angela Duckworth, with Cara Dweck, all these really important players in the psychology of fitness, and Spartan did that. And when coaches started to see that, and I think a lot of people who hear this podcast know what we're talking about when it comes to just like creating impact, and being able to get people to be motivated more than just sets and reps. We were able to lock in with a group of people from Spartan to say, this is how you rip 100 million people off the couches to literally live a happy and healthier life. And when we started coaching people, that's exactly how we wanted to help serve people to do more. And So that's kind of how our coaching started.
Yeah. And you two met as coach. I hear you say that it brought you together. Like, did you meet?
Romeo and Juliet story, but that's for another podcast.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll have a part 2 to hear about that.
Oh my God, part 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, we actually met at Lifetime. We both worked as coaches, and I was a manager over there. And we ended up leaving Lifetime and starting our own business, Stacked Up Fitness, which was all about fitness, fuel, and life, just like Anthony was talking about, the whole gamut of health and fitness. So that's how we met.
Yeah.
And the journey.
Very cool. And I think that we have a little bit of a connection that I was kind of unaware of. I didn't know that, Spartan was starting in 2010. 2010 was the year that I was coming home. I did find this podcast because we had to overcome our own adversity to get here. Our listeners know that was a decade of incarceration. That was a horrific time in my life. But so I get home, and shortly thereafter, I'm learning about Spartan events, and I was involved in the pilot program that was held at Joe's farm, where they worked us out for 36 hours and didn't certify anybody, but they just wanted to see what that SGX coaching would look like, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but so I do have like a little history back on the farm way back then when they were first starting this coaching. They were just kind of piloting something, and they just worked us out really hard and tested us, and we're trying to figure out what they wanted that program to be. So, kudos to you guys, because I wanted the certification that you have.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that story too, because that's like a urban legend too about what you had to go through. Not only you getting through after 10 years, then getting involved in that. And I remember hearing that story, being an SGX coach, like the first year that they ever did it, they didn't certify anyone. They were just like, Joe was not satisfied with what he was producing, right? He wanted to produce something that was so top level that it really grinded all of you that were there. And it was just like, it was like, you guys were great. He just was like, how do we make this even better? I'm not ready to let the wolves out, let everybody go out. And they really started creating an army of SGX coaches that just went out and branched out to try to get people, again, ripped off the couches. And it started with you guys, and that's what it all starts with, is just like lighting that fire and then being able to build from there. And so it's amazing how far it has come. And I think we've kind of come full circle. It's amazing that we're involved right now, because this is what Spartan's really trying to do right here, is get back to the trenches, get back to the community, get back to where people want to see their lives. And how do we build the community back up with Spartan? And I know that's a huge initiative, is not only giving them education, front-facing education to everyone that comes, to create a better race experience, a better customer experience for everybody, but then be able to teach them how to be more educated in nutrition and fitness, and how do we strategically get these like customers, these clients, this community to understand how to live a more successful life, again, fitness, fuel, and life, and blend it all together. And that's what's amazing about where our journey is at this point, is how full circle Spartan has come. And I guess that's why we're even meeting today too. It's like bringing it full circle. You were there in the beginning, and now we're back here again to just launch further into helping.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Well, I believe it. Joe was on our podcast, and I was telling him that there were 2 times in my life that really created like a well of strength, where I realized I was capable of more than I thought. And I said, one was, of course, getting through that period of incarceration and coming out better on the other side. The other was 36 hours at the farm. I was like, wow, now when I'm like doing an hour workout, I could be like, oh, hey, remember that 36 hours you did? You can push through this. And then that's when Joe said, oh, you just put yourself in a very awkward position, and I'm like, what, how did I do that? And he said, well, I'd like to invite you out to the farm for a death race party, which is happening June 29th. Right. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, back to you guys. We know a little bit of history about how this Spartan coaching certification came to be. And then, how has your path evolved with Spartan? Because I know that, our listeners are very interested in this strategic performance coaching, that we're talking about here, and just the kind of resources that are available to them. Because I think, quite honestly, when we tell our members, hey, we got this Spartan race for you to participate in, they're like, could I do that? How would I prepare for that? What, all those questions. So, talk to us a little bit about that, if you will.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, one thing is, definitely any of your customers, clients, the listeners here, go check out your local area for sure. There are SGX coaches all over this country, all over the world, really. And they are your best resource to help you prepare for any kind of Spartan race, whether it's your sprint, your super, your beast, your ultra, your hurricane heats, your death race, if you need to. SJX coaches are the best source of information when it comes to like getting the inner understanding of what a Spartan race is. They're there to help prepare you physically for it. And what's really great too is that we want, and this is, I definitely give a huge shout out to Dr. J, Jeff Godin, who really has put together the SJX program, and Sin, who helps manage it all. This team really strives to help understand how SJX coaches can help every client, and they're the army, right? And that's the cool part. We elevated to this status here very fortunately because of where we have been together, and taking the knowledge that we have, take the resources that we've gotten from Dr. J. Sin in our past, and we're able to blend in this unique way to now start educating the SJX coaches as well as the community on how do you strategically plan, right? And that takes understanding of both your fitness, your nutrition, and ultimately your lifestyle. And I think that's the big part, is that the lifestyle of what we live, we get asked that question all the time. How am I going to like survive a Spartan race, right? This survival, how am I going to do it? Can I do it? And the question is, or really, we always turn back. And the number one thing is, why wouldn't you be able to do it? And a lot of times people go, well, because I'm not ready for it. But are you ready for anything really, right? And the fact is that obstacle of going over the wall is not just like, can you get over the wall? Probably not on your first Spartan race, especially an 8-footer. You don't have the skills, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the strength. And isn't that so true when it comes to life, right? Whenever we try something new, you don't know how to do certain things, right? So the wall is not just the wall. The wall is the obstacle that we all face in life, whether it's trying to get another job, going to college, doing something new. And sometimes you need the education. How do you do it, right? And or you need help. And that's why you might have someone that you race with and need that support. And then sometimes maybe going over the wall isn't what you need. Maybe you have to go around it this time. Maybe you have to find a different way to do it. And yes, it's not about the wall. It's about how you look at that problem in your life and how you want to direct it. And I think that's the most powerful thing that we help kind of have that aha moment with people, right? To create that, oh, you're right, I can do it. And then the question is, well, I've never run that far, or I haven't been able to do that. And it's like, well, now we're talking about a different thing. Do you want to run it to finish it, or do you want to run it to win it? And then you start going, oh, okay. And you got to understand that no one that just starts a race, unless you're some type of genetic freak or something, or been doing something else for a long time, jumps into a Spartan race and wins it the first time. And so we all start at the start line of life, and we all have to come over the obstacles. I remember I worked with Lindsey. I mean, your first race that you did, I mean, it was Cramp City, crying, tears. I can't do this. No, by the fourth race that you did after training, you were winning them. She was on podium for age group and things like that.
Oh, wow.
But it's that moment. I had a good coach.
Yeah, you had a good
coach. Yeah. All right. Giving her husband some kudos right there. Love it. Love it.
And she fell in love with me, and now we're married, right?
It was your coaching that did it. It was your coaching.
It was.
But yeah, so that's kind of where it is. It's just like, get the SJX coach and then understand what you really want. Set those expectations.
What's your story? What's your reason? Why are you doing this? That's the first step to, the journey.
Yeah. I love a couple of things I want to highlight that you've just said. One, I love Spartan's vision to get 100 million people off the couch. I've often said that the only competition that we really have in fitness is the couch, right? There's 80% of people that don't exercise. I also like how you were describing the wall there, this wall is more about you than it's about the wall. Like every obstacle introduces a man or woman to him or herself, right? Like it's, just why should we do hard things? Well, because they're hard and life is hard, right? Like it's okay if you don't make it over the wall the first time, but it's not okay if you don't try to test your limits in life and stretch and grow, because that's what we're here to do, So I think that's really good. And besides the SGX coach, which I think, that's vital. That's great that, we have a very specific type of coach for a very specific type of event. we're talking about getting people off the couch and getting them involved in a Spartan. I think of couch to 5K. What are, if you could, as an SGX coach or SGX coaches, could you highlight some of the most important training elements that a person that's considering a Spartan event? Is it grip strength? Is it, because they got to carry stuff, right? I mean, like I saw Joe did an article the other day. He said how to train for the death race. Do a sweaty workout for 90 minutes a day and 8 hours a week, carry something heavy, right? Like the whole day. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, where do I find 8 hours to just go carry something heavy up a mountain, but what would you say are like some of like the key elements that a person needs to start considering for training,
Well, one thing I want to add, because
okay, go ahead.
I told you, this is why we'll never be on this podcast again. Get a community. I'm telling you, that's the other thing. CCA, right? Well, that's consistency, commitment, and accountability. Test that consistency, commitment, and accountability. That's what we talk about. And I say, and we can definitely get back to that CCA component too, but I would say community is huge because you need a support. You need Journey 333, right? You need people to encourage you no matter how weak or unprepared you may be, to just give yourself the belief to know that you're good. So it's so hard
because it's 50% mental, 50% physical.
And then 100% of all of it, right? I mean, it's kind of, and I know like the listeners truly, and we'll get to it. I mean, I know I'm kind of beating around the bush a little bit, but the physical aspect, what do you need? Grip strength, you need the tenacity, you need to lift. Yes, and we can get to those true things, but I think people need to understand, just like how Lindsey was saying, you're saying, it's all in your head. It's the community, it's the support, it's the consistency, commitment, and accountability that you're going to put on yourself and to others that is going to get you through this race. So everyone has the ability to do it right now. Now we were talking about grip strength. Yes, grip strength. Hang from a tree branch, hang from a pull-up bar. It's the forearm strength, right? Grip it, do farmer's carries. The things that are not pretty, the things that are boring in training that, you don't work on your core strength is enough. You want the show muscles, you want the chest, you want to see everything in the mirror, right? Bicep, tricep. Exactly. You look good. That's what it's all about, right? But if you can get a strong back and a strong mind, you're golden.
And
right?
endurance and running.
Yeah. Legs and endurance.
That's a big component of Spartan Race.
I mean, in Palmerton too, go do some hill climbs, like go do walking, hiking. I'm telling you, the normal people like us, right? We're not running up these hills. And I think some people forget that. Like, you're going to be power walking, power hiking more. And that's going to be something that throws a lot of people off. The power hiking, which is what? Throw an incline up, start doing, hill climbs with a sandbag on your shoulders. That's what's going to get your carries going. That's what's going to get everything formulated, because it's those implements that throw you off. Mm-hmm. There is no bench pressing in a Spartan race, right? Yeah, you're great, but you're not going to be pushing things forward and need 225 pounds rep max. If anything, you're pulling, right? You're pulling back the scaps, the rotator cuff muscles, right? You need to support that shoulder. So, any rotator cuff exercises, the external, internal rotators, get those strong, because you're going to be hanging from a monkey bar, one hand's trying to save your life, not, floor's lava style. And, you got to be able to have that going. And if you don't have strong shoulders, strong lats, and get that core firing, you're kind of done.
I love what you just said right there. There's a couple of key things that you were just saying. One, community is something that we're really big on. Is we've been inviting our members to do this race with us. We actually have a credo card, which reminds our coaches and teammates how to live at Journey. And one says that being a Journey coach is like being an Army Ranger. Like when we go to events with our members, that there's no man left behind, So many times when we've done OCR events, we as coaches are waiting at the next obstacle for the people to come and get through. And so yeah, the community is the strength of our program right here, the group training. It's why people show up each day. They show up for one another, and they benefit from each other's energy and that kind of thing. So I think that's really good. And I also think that the mental aspect, like somebody asked me, what's this death race all about? They're like, so how long is it? And, when does it start? And, or how do you win or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know if there's a winner. I said, there's no definitive start line. There's no definitive end line. I said, I've heard of people hanging out there for 3 days and still not getting the coveted skull. I said, so it really is mental. It's about you, like when's the last time you put yourself to the test? I realized recently when I started training for it, I said, wow. I mean, I came home over 10 years ago. So I guess it's been a long time since I did something hard, because it was 2011 or something that I was out there at Joe's farm. And I'm like, this is really good to test myself like this, because I don't want to not test myself. So I love the mental aspect and the community aspect that you were just covering. And of course, the training aspects, like hanging from pull-up bars and doing farmers carries and developing that core strength. And at Journey, we actually have a 2-to-1 pull to push ratio that we like to include in our programming, because we recognize the pulling is often overlooked, right? So, and it makes those shoulders healthy, and it gives you the strength that you need for a lot of daily living and a lot of sport living, so really good there.
I love that 2-to-1 ratio too. I was going to mention that as well. Like, that's exactly a wonderful ratio. We're so in this like internal, like shoulders rolling forward. Again, we only like working the things we can see in the mirror, right? So isn't that funny? I mean, that's where the pulls come in. If you're strong with the pulls, you get your backside posterior chain going, you get your back locked, like firing. I mean, you're going to be well ahead of the curve. We do just like that 2-to-1, but we also call it like a cross pattern training, where we'll work, like I look at our body as like a quadrant, right? So when we base our training, we look at it as like your upper body front side and your lower body back side. And so you'll work your chest push and your backside pull. And then on opposite days, we'll do the complete opposite, where we have our upper body pull, and our lower body like front side, like quad dominant, knee dominant, however you want to call it. And it's that cross pattern, working on the myofascial slings and making sure that, we have that balance in our body so that you can work like strategically, just like how we talked about. So there is no overuse injuries, right? So we also, in something I think you guys totally understand, the fact that, we don't believe in overuse injuries. We really don't. It's under recovery. And so that's kind of one of those things that we've looked at is, all right, how do we make it so that we can train successfully and well without overloading certain body parts, so that we can come, it's not always upper body, lower body splits for us, especially when it comes to OCR, because you're never going to have just straight upper body and straight lower body. So we kind of work on this cross pattern connection, and then we'll throw in some lateral movement, some agility, which is another missed opportunity, that people forget that they're going to be running down hills. They're going to have to quickly think neurologically, how are they going to be able to move their body? And I think that's the other part too, is neurological signaling and the coordination. And as we get older in our lovely lives, right, we sometimes forget that we got to be quick. We got to be fast. We just went on a walk in the neighborhood, and we saw this woman. It was right on Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to all those moms out there too. We saw a mom who was on a longboard, and boy, we're looking at her like, oh boy, this is scary. And she's trying a longboard, and her son's out there. And we said, that's awesome, you're on a longboard. And you talk to everyone that we see. And the mom's like, yeah, this is a Mother's Day gift. I got to try doing the longboard. and there, I'm like, hey, congratulations. That's awesome. And Lindsay's laughing. But I was sitting there, and we walked by, and I'm like, that's what people need to do. I mean, when's the last time you saw, like, and I'll put some age to it, like a 40 plus person, I don't care if you're a man, woman, whoever, right? A 40 plus adult trying something so unique, like longboarding, like doing a skateboard, doing something like going to a ninja gym and just going crazy with their body and trying to do a brand new thing. And this woman was on a longboard looking like she was about to fall off. And I encourage a lot of people to just try something new. And we feel like, oh, well, we're older, so we can't be,
it's the greatest excuse.
I'm too old. Like, what is that supposed to mean? And
I think I was doing it myself recently. I stopped running a couple years ago consistently because I was getting some stuff in my sacroiliac. And when Joe challenged me to the race, and I wasn't even running, like I say, certainly wasn't running consistently, maybe the occasional jog or whatever that I just felt inspired to go do. I said, has this been an excuse? Could I stretch enough in the morning to maybe start to train for this event? And, we either find a reason or we find an excuse. And as we age, it's really easy to find excuses. We get more aches and pains and we say, oh, we're too old. And, maybe we better not break nothing, or I can't take care of the family. Or like Cindy,
all of it. Right?
Cindy already told me, she said, the other day I did the Beast in Vernon, New Jersey. I met you guys there. And she's like, even if you break your leg, you still got to coach tomorrow. You know that, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We find these reasons. We find these reasons not to do things, but we get to recapture not just our youth, but parts of ourselves. Maybe even parts of our soul when we're willing to step back into the I can mentality. And I really appreciate you bringing that up. That's a really awesome aspect. We got to challenge ourselves at any age, right? We're either growing or we're dying, right? And I would prefer to be growing, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. So while I met you guys in Vernon, New Jersey, you gave me an awesome supplement. So I do want to make sure that we talk about stack tracks and yeah.
We come prepared, don't you worry.
Oh, this is great. Well, you might have saved me. There's this time out there on the course, and it was scary because, well, the course is supposed to be 13 miles, but Spartan sometimes has Spartan miles, and but anyway, I got out there and I felt like it was like right around my hamstrings, and they're starting to cramp, and then it went away, and I was able to go carry a sandbag right up the mountain, and I was like thinking about in previous times when I would have had those cramps, like it would have just kept on going, and there wouldn't have been anything to mitigate it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to begin with your supplement story, but like that was a great thing you gave me.
You took the hydrate, right?
I did. I took them, and I got my camel pack, and I was taking those pills, and I'm like, that's a testimonial for you, because I made it through a race where my legs wanted to give up at one point, but they surprisingly were able to recover fast and go carry a 60-pound sandbag up a hill. I mean, that was pretty cool.
I love when we get a big group of people, half of them took hydrate and half of them didn't. And the half that didn't take the hydrate was like, we should have listened to you. And the other group was feeling great.
Every time.
Okay, so there's a control study for you. So let's talk about what is hydrate. Let's talk about what that is. Yeah.
Right. Well, let me give it. So most of the races on the East Coast, and we have Lorelei over in the West Coast. We got Rachel, I think, too, doing some mid-coast stuff. And Ben is our leader, right? Ben is our guy. So we got to throw Ben out there too. So, with this hydrate, this is what we tell you, right? People laugh about these packaging and they're like, all right, blue pill, red pill, matrix style, other things have been said to it. But I'm telling you, this stuff is incredible. There's a lot of things out there on the market. I mean, you can go to any kind of GNC, vitamin shops, we can plug them all, right? Go on Amazon and you find different things out there. What Joe did, and I give Joe a lot of credit, he teamed up with a company called Tayo, and whether we're not supposed to say that or not, but they're a great company, right? Yeah. They help formulate all this stuff. And the company and Joe really got to the drawing board and said, all right, how do we make the best hydrate pill? It's beyond, it's not even a salt tab. We hear it's a salt tab. We hear it's just like an electrolyte tab. It is an electrolyte tab with magnesium, we got chloride, sodium, potassium in it, and it's balanced and formulated correctly to give you everything that you need that the body is losing on a course. If you balance it out with water, like it's not just you take this and that's it, you got to balance it with water. And what we find with it is when you balance with water, either in your hydro pack or just drinking, the amount of water that you need throughout the race, meaning drink at least 8 to 12 ounces an hour at least, right? You can balance out your electrolytes so that neurologically your muscles will fire appropriately so you cramp less and have a better race experience, right? And that's kind of like what we say. You take it 30 minutes before.
Do not chew.
You got to swallow. And it's not something that dissolves in water.
Yes.
Trust me, follow the damn instructions. That is, you were down in Jacksonville with us. Joe was just adamant. He's like, people think it's a chew tab. They think it's a dissolve. No. There's always one person. Oh, I'll take it right now. Rip it open, pop it in their mouth, and they chew it. And they're like, this is disgusting. Of course it is, right? But this is something that you take 30 minutes before, you swallow with water. And yes, the water is typically right near the start line. This is how we do it every single time at the races.
And if you're a heavy sweater, we recommend taking all 3. If you're a light sweater, you can take 1 to 2. Men 2, women 1.
Yep. balances out your electrolytes 4 to 6 hours. And it's an unbelievable pill. And again, it is a pill. It's a pharmaceutical grade style. Like, that's how amazing this is. And people don't want to buy it because they know we hand it out, and we're like, no, like, you can't just take 5. No, we want to give these out to everybody at the race.
But it's something that you should be taking daily.
Yes.
Okay, because it builds up. It's obviously going to build up those certain nutrients that you need in your body, so you have higher levels of those, right? If we're to do a blood test and I'm taking it daily, I would have higher levels of the nutrients that I need to support my performance, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're training every day, we're so under hydrated, like, just with all the electrolytes, and just like how it is, you have your proteins, your fats, and your carbs, right? Those are those macronutrients. But then there's those, again, the electrolytes. They're neurological things that fire the vitamins and minerals in our body to help fire the muscles appropriately, to have the blood circulate, to allow oxygen to be
the assisters.
The assisters to it. It's like a well-oiled machine. And when you miss one part, your body, your vehicle is not going to run appropriately. And I think sometimes we forget how important the electrolytes, the neurological system, the brain stimulating the muscles is to the rest of the body. You do myofascial release. Well, the palatability of muscles are so important to lengthen up those muscles of sorts, right? To get better blood circulation to it. It's why, the hypervolt guns and vibration therapy and things of that nature, stretching, mobility, why it's so critical, because you're clearing up those roadblocks, and all of a sudden your blood's circulating better. And so you're burning more just by doing foam roll and myofascial release. I mean, it's amazing how much more vitality and energy we can get just by allowing the circulatory system to fire better through our muscles. And if you don't have the electrolytes in your body when you're running a race, you're going to have those cramps. And it's not going to be a very good race day experience for you. And that's why we hand these out at the beginning for those who want to try it, because we want to make sure you have a better race experience. And when we do that, you're cramping less, getting injured less. And all of a sudden, people are leaving a Spartan race going, this was incredible. I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm not wanting to, you have to go to work on Monday, right? So the other one is energy. And I brought up energy. We bring up energy like after the fact, is because this comes from the raw maca plant. So it's raw coffee powder that comes from the maca plant, and it's just crushed into a capsule. So it keeps all the antioxidants and vitamins and minerals into it. Whereas like the coffee bean itself that we typically process and have in the morning, because it gets roasted and processed in such a way, it gets stripped of all the vitamins and nutrients out of it. And we get articles that say, oh, coffee is incredible, coffee is great. But unfortunately, most coffee that we have is just stripped of all the vitamins and minerals that we value as, oh, it's an antioxidant helper, right? It's just not. It's more of a diuretic, and it dehydrates you more. So unfortunately, the caffeine that we typically have daily is not helping us that often. And this here, because it's from the maca plant, it has this stuff called theanine in it as well. It helps release the caffeine. So it's not like a big upper like you might get with some of the pre-workouts and just like a regular, high octane caffeine drink. But it's more something that is self-sustainable for 4 to 6 hours of energy. We just had a gentleman, Cole Crosby, who's an incredible ultra endurance athlete. He actually took both of this on the Cocodona 250-mile race just last week, running across Arizona. And he had an unbelievable race. Middle of the night, he was getting tired. He needed something, popped energy, right? Mm-hmm. And was able to finish off that leg. And he was just like, it gave him that extra boost. It wasn't food, it was the neurological energy that came from the caffeine out of this. And so people freak out. They're like, oh, it's a caffeine pill. I can't have it. I'm this and that. But it's so much more than just the 145 milligrams of caffeine. The theanine, the vitamins, the minerals, the things that can really jumpstart your body. What's the line that Tayo gave us? It's the energy that nature intended us to have. And that's what's amazing about this. So when you do both of them at the same time, you get these things and you start floating on the course.
The energy that nature intended us to have. That's really good.
Become a bird. You become a bird and fly away. So.
Oh, I love that.
Another daily supplement that you should be taking. And it doesn't have to be instead of coffee. It could be in addition to coffee. And there's 2 capsules in that packet. You can take one in the morning and then one in the afternoon when you feel like you're having a dip.
That's awesome.
And how many pills come in the hydrate?
3. Yeah, 3.
3 in the hydrate, and how many in the energy?
2.
2. Okay.
2.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Joe is adamant too. He's like, we're not in Abu Dhabi. You only need 1 or 2. You're not in Abu Dhabi. I'm like, well, you know what? Some people feel like they are when they're running a course. So I'll follow damn instructions. That's what it said.
Yeah.
Swallow with water. Do not dissolve in your hydro pack, and do not chew it because it does
just
not
knock
taste
it back.
good. So
Awesome. That's awesome. Any other supplements that we should, have our folks be aware of through Spartan?
So they do have 2 other ones. I think 2 other ones.
Yeah.
Focus and Burn. Focus is very similar to Energy. It has a little bit less caffeine. And definitely recommend taking them both. I mean, I take Energy in the morning and then I'll take Focus in the afternoon.
They also have Immune out there too.
Oh, Immune. Gosh,
Immune
how could I forget
is
Immune?
incredible. Yeah. So there are some products that we don't have at races. You can find it on Amazon too. All 5-star ratings too on all of it too. They've been amazing products. Like this is what's great about it. It is a world of just the wild, wild west. So it's about a trusted source, a credible source of good vitamins and minerals and like knowledge behind it. And that is what Spartan is. It's not just, slap a Spartan label on it. Here you go. Here's hydrate. Like a lot of people talk about. It's a high quality supplement. And there's one thing that I will say with Joe and the Spartan community is that they want to put great products, not just good products, but great products to the community. Because here's the thing, it's all about that trust. It's all about that credibility. And if you can't put a great product out there, you're going to get swallowed up by something else. When it does come to other supplements that we would recommend, whenever you're kind of preparing for anything, it's, whole foods, super important. You want to get your whole foods, your vitamins from those whole foods, your proteins and your carbs, and we can get into a whole different dietary needs, but there's so many people out there, the ketogenic diet, Atkins diet, however people eat, carb diet, Mediterranean, there's so many out there. But it is what works for you. So we definitely encourage whole foods. Joe has a book that he wrote, and we definitely want to give, all the listeners some really great resources. We have a couple of them. We have the Ready for Anything booklet and the program, which talks about some supplements, both on hydrate, energy, what to eat with like mushrooms. Mushrooms so important with the things that they can. So eating mushrooms and clean food, that's another great one. They have collagen. I know Spartan has collagen whey concentrate. So protein supplementation.
They have tea.
They have tea as well that comes straight from the maca plant. Spartan really has a great collection of nutrition.
And it's continuing to grow.
It's continuing to grow. And that's another good thing. Yeah.
So if I want to read the Ready for Anything book, or, someone like myself wants to start taking those supplements so that I can begin to build up those levels in my system, where do I go? Where do I go to go and get those things?
You're going to reach out to us.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. If you want to get the Ready for Anything packet, which again includes nutrition, it's a really great packet that we've been working on for the last 30 years and finally able to launch it with Spartan. That gives programming for all races. So it's a 3-month program to get you ready for a sprint, super, or a beast. If they want to get their hands on it, they can go to our social media at Stack Tracks Fitness and just DM us and say, I'm ready for anything. And we'll send it right over.
Yeah.
So social media at Stack Tracks Fitness, which is STACK, just like tracks.
TRAX.
TRAX. That's what I was thinking. Okay. All right. Very cool. And, I would assume then, of course, we're talking about the performance aspect too. That's where they go if they're interested in some of the workout regimens and things such as that as well, or is there a certain?
There's so many things too. Like, because you can go to the Spartan website, and it is kind of hidden underneath everything. But if you go under the nutrition, go to SpartanRace.com and check out the nutrition. You can see all the nutrition products that we have there as well, both with hydrate and energy. plus the collagen peptides and everything that Spartan, the teas, everything that we do offer as a product line. Just like Lindsey said, follow at Stack Tracks Fitness. We can then, we'll deliver like all this performance stuff, the Ready for Anything packet. The other thing that we also talk about too, to prep people for Palmerton, is something that we've kind of created, what is called Peak Week. We call it Peak Week. So whenever we strategically train somebody, we tell them to make a calendar, right? Like make a calendar. We have 8 weeks up until Palmerton, right? Maybe you have a race that's coming sooner, maybe a little bit later. I know I'm really prepping hard for Killington, which is another race I definitely recommend you getting up to if you haven't. Have you run Killington? Have either of you run Killington?
I haven't done it since there was 36 hours in my life on that farm. I feel like I was doing some part of it then, but yeah.
So get up to Killington. That's another amazing like staple race. Killington is a beautiful, beautiful race course, and Palmerton preps you for it because Palmerton is like a mini Killington. That's how we look at it. It's what it's all about. And so I'm prepping for Killington, but what the whole name of the game is this, it's like Peak Week, right? And so you ask clients, it's a workbook of sorts, and you say, all right, write out your calendar, write out everything that you think you might have to do, right? 3 months, 2 months, a week out. And it's like, what are your roadblocks? Are you taking any vacations? Are you doing any holidays? Like so many people, like they're not front facing. They don't see into the future. And then all of a sudden a week later, they're like, oh, this came out, that came out. What's crazy about people's lives is that most of our lives are very routine based. We find ourselves into a pattern. Now, Lindsey and I now going up and down the East Coast, we're on the road now, like a road show almost every other week. That's something completely different. So we have this schedule now where it's travel week and then it's, at home week, right? Mm-hmm. And so we created these routines that are like, all right, this is when we prep for Stack Tracks. This is when we prep for, all the races. And we have the strategic map now that we know where these roadblocks might come in. And then the last week prior to the race, so in essentially 7 weeks from now, if it's Palmerton's in 8, the last week we consider it Peak Week. Peak Week is where you start like tapering down your training, your physical training. At that point, there's nothing you're going to do during that week that is going to make you get better for the obstacles, except the mental side of training. We've trained clients before where it's the last week and they want to get their ring so bad. So they're sitting there, they go to their close ninja gym or they go to their gym.
Their hands.
And all of a sudden they're coming out on a Wednesday and they got ripped hands. And it's like, what are you doing? And that's the saddest part about that. But we call it Peak Week. And Peak Week is very, very strategic. And that's where 7 days prior you go, okay, this is what I'm going to eat. This is how I'm going to fall asleep. This is how my training is. And after Wednesday, typically when you're running on a Saturday, you don't do any hard lifting after that. And then it's mental. By Thursday, they release the map. You study the map. You understand the grading, right? Palmerton has mountains. And like, you're going to have to understand that it's not flat. You want to look at this map and strategically say, all right, I'm going to start off slow here. I'm going to speed up here. I'm going to take my hydration here and this and that. And you strategically understand what that map is looking like, because every map, every race, and this is what's so incredible about Spartan, is that they don't just throw obstacles places just to throw obstacles. There's a very strategic plan, whether it's Woody who's putting together the thing, or if it's Barnes or Hammond or oh my God, I'm forgetting his name.
I was
Guilford. Whoa, thinking Woody. Yeah, Garfield. That's who it is. Yeah, Garfield doing an unbelievable job with his lovely British words. Putting together the program and putting together, and Emily, all these races are strategically put together. And when you look at the map, you'll find out, all right, how are they going to screw me? What are they trying to tax? And when you do that, you can start planning and strategically understanding what you need to prepare for. And then on Friday, you got to go, all right, what's my Friday meal? And for me, it's chicken parm. I think I got Lindsey into chicken parm too. Right. That is the race day meal. And like, that's my race night meal. And then you want to
make sure you have your gear.
Make sure you have your gear. Yeah, you're testing your shoes. You feel comfortable. And then race day, we have a whole entire thing. And this is the other thing too, that will get all the listeners who are interested. And if you're a coach and want to know all these little tricks and put them into your toolbox to help clients that you train to get ready for these races or any race, we'll give you all this content. It's really wonderful. And you strategically say, all right, my race starts at X, and you reverse engineer, right? You reverse engineer what you need to do prior to you start, and you kind of gear up everything that you need. So you have this peak week and race day ready packet so that you understand how to take on this mission. And when you have that information, you go, wow, this is strategic planning. And it just makes so that you have a better understanding. So you're not freaking out going, what am I going to do? It's why the president of the United States wears the same like uniform. It's why like most people want to take out all the decisions out of your day so that you can then focus in on what's important. And that's where you see with a lot of successful people is they have certain decisions that they've already taken out of their daily routine so they can focus on what's important. And that's what we try to do with all of our clients as well.
That's really good. You're speaking my language. I do a roadmap every year for the year. It seems like that'd be a very useful tool. And that's something that we reach out to you for so that our people can start to plan for this Palmerton by, kind of knowing what they're going to do in the days leading up to it and where their peak week and all that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Hit us up on any social and we'll definitely get it out to you. We'll send it to you too. You can load it up on the bio or on any of the, notes on this podcast. And we love sharing. This is what's so incredible is you meet people along the way and it's all about serving. It's all about, getting that knowledge so that not only do you have a better race experience, but we truly are true believers in understanding fitness, fuel, and life, the strategic aspect of, planning for lifestyle and performance.
And reflecting and revising and repeating what's working. And that's where you get your results.
That's your 4 R's.
That's 4 R's.
Yeah. So we call it 4 R's. There's so many acronyms, right? So like,
oh, I like that. Reflecting, revising, repeating. Results. Oh, that's good. Reflect, revise, repeat, and you get results. That's great. Oh, that's so good. Well, one more time, real quick, the best place to reach out, because I know I want to get these supplements myself. And so you said there's like the direct website, which is Stack Tracks. Is that right?
So direct website to get these supplements would definitely be the SpartanRace.com. That's a direct.
And the first box is free when you subscribe. So
true that.
Yeah, which I highly recommend because who doesn't want a free box of energy or hydrate? So definitely do that. First box is free. And then you can cancel anytime after that, which you won't because you'll know that it works and it's magic. So you can get that on the Spartan website. We'll give that linked to you guys. And then if they want the Ready for Anything and all of the content that we discussed, they can reach out to us on our social media at Stack Tracks Fitness.
Okay. And all that will be in the show notes. I will reach out to get all that info so I can put it right there in the show notes. Thank you for sharing so generously with our audience today. Thank you so much. I feel more prepared already. I'm ready to get some supplements. Maybe Noah will definitely help me in this death race. I need to be taking some of those packets like your ultra runner did there towards the end, like maybe that's going to be my secret to making it 70 hours. I don't know.
I'll tell you, if we're not on the road, we'll be up there. Okay. We'll be up there watching you.
When is it?
June 29th.
29th. And I guess it'll end somewhere by July 3rd or something,
We were up there at the winter death race and the snowshoe race. There was a snowshoe race and a death race going on at the same time. And it was a winter one. And I'll tell you,
Don't scare him.
No, scared. You need to be scared. I'll tell you. I'll go up there and I'll do my 5 hours of it. But I mean, I'll tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful farm. You know that. And good luck with that because that's a whole nother world. Wow. So.
Well, I hope to have your coaching encouragement that makes people want to marry you. That'll be great.
That's how good it is. I'll tell you. We love it.
Congratulations again on your recent marriage. We look forward to the future episode where we hear all about how you met and, all the love story to go with it, Romeo and Juliet.
Business and fitness, yeah.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So
Take care.
Take care, guys. Aru.
Aru.
Thanks for listening, Overcomer Nation. Make sure if you haven't already, give us a 5-star rating. Make sure that you share this and subscribe so you can see all of our future content.
That's right. And if you'd like to be a guest on a future show, go to overcomers-podcast.com. If you're interested in our franchise opportunities with Journey 333, then go to www.journeyfitness333.com. And finally, if you like what you heard today and you feel like you're somebody that needs a bit more coaching, go to travisbarnes.com.